Hey there, Mission Control. We're out in the tent right now and we need to do some work to get ready for some testing that's coming up in the next few weeks. We're going to need to get the digester tank and the digestate tank put into the belly bay, and then we need to fill it full of water. Or we're going to need to fill something full of water if the tanks don't show up on time, which there's a possibility of. One of the reasons, if you recall, why I liked this floor is because it's going to be pretty easy for me to pull up pieces of it to access everything down below. What is down underneath of me is the water main that we put in when we built Have 1. So today what we're going to do is we're going to lift up the floor, which means there's actually a few little rivets that they use to keep these sections all together. They're meant to come in just little panels, but to make it easier to install, you know, most people don't just need 1 square foot at a time. So they put them in 2 by 5 sections and then they rivet them together just to make it easier to ship them, to install them. But in order to lift it up, we got to cut them. So we're going to get the Sawzall. We're going to cut the rivets, lift up the floor, and we're going to look down here and we're going to see what parts we need to make a water connection. Key thing with water connection is it needs to be winterproof, so we need a way to drain it when we're not using it. Or since we're out here when it is winter, it needs to be drained every day so that we don't leave any water in it overnight or multiple days and then it expands and breaks. So we're going to have to come up with a good plan for that. But we got to get in there and get that all taken care of. Also need to wire in the 240 volt plug that we have. We did one up at the shop, but we need to do one out here to make it easier to weld some of the larger metal if we need to bring our welder out here, which we're going to. Our first issue of the day, like I said, there's always something. This tool has came from my dad when he passed away. I've used it so much and came out here today and plugged it in, expecting it to work, and it no worky. So we got no reciprocating saw. I gotta go to the store anyway, but I was supposed to go to the store with a parts list that I need and not just to go get a new tool. After quite a bit of troubleshooting, somehow the breaker tripped. Anyway, I had to track it down. I think a GFCI went off as well, so we got power now. We can do this job. This is one of the reasons why I really wanted to put this floor here, besides the fact that we already had it. This is nice. There we go. Right here is where the water is at. This is also one of those spots where you can see where, here's the line right here, see, and there's no stud underneath of it. And that's one of our problem areas. There we go. Inside of the 1-inch T, or a valve that was down there, was a little piece of 1-inch pipe that was still remaining from when we did the demo. So I got the Dremel tool out and I cleaned that all out. I think I took a little more than what I needed to in only one spot, so we're going to make sure that we glue the hell out of it. And then we'll have to test it, make sure it all works. Otherwise, we're just going to have to run garden hoses all the way out here, because that's a major job getting into that valve and redoing all of it. That's a super duper major job that we don't want to do. That involves like digging and reconnecting pipe and doing a whole bunch of stuff that's all underground right now. So I don't think I messed it up. I've done this before, haven't messed it up. Just gotta make sure that glue set's all nice. So got that done. We got the 240 volt plug is all put in and wired up and tested up correctly, so happy about that. Since we got this all up, we're going to get the plumbing in there, and we'll actually put another little joist in here just to make sure this one section that's bad, that has that little step in it, that little squish, is all fixed up. Just got back from the hardware store. Jerky. Some pencils because I'm running out of markers. Glue. A remover, hex remover, adapter, closure plugs, and a garden hose. That's all we needed from that little trip. I just glued our extension and 1-inch pipe to PEX adapter assembly in. And now we're going to set up the next piece, which is going to be a T. Here's the T. So we want to have some PEX come off. Not too much because we don't have a lot of room. PEX come off. And then we're going to have this. This is going to be our drain right there. So, ooh, even had some water left over from having it. Have that drain in there. We're going to come out, go up 90 degrees, go over 90 degrees, and then go all the way out. That is the game plan. Don't want to cut this too short because then you can't get your tool in to remove it. Something goes wrong. And that one goes there. It is so cold, these things just popping off. The drain. Not everybody's a fan of PEX, but I am, and we have so many fittings from Hab 1's demo. I'm going to use those all up because they're expensive. They let you mess it up and fix it much more easily than PVC, like the case with that T, or I'm sorry, the valve that's in there. It's sensitive. That's a sensitive valve because it's PVC. You screw it up, it's really screwed up. Okay, so now this piece goes in. Oh, I cracked myself up. The box that this sits on top of has deformed with all the settling and water and moving. The demo, I mean, everything, the whole box is now cattywampus, and to fix it is a really big project that is totally unnecessary at this time. To allow that hose come up through that. One of these days, when we're not on a timeline and when there's nothing more important to do than to redo an irrigation access box, we'll come down here and we'll actually fix it. I can't think of when that day is going to be happening anytime soon. Had a bunch of PEX left over, so I grabbed a piece from the pile, brought it over here, and I've already snuck it under the deck. That box is really, really crooked, so I just have that lid sitting on top of it. There's our plumbing. So we put, you can see the valve there with all the glue coming out of it. And then we put the PEX in with the T and the drain, the elbow coming up. And you can see how cattywampus that whole thing is there. And all that white is not snow. That's the powder from when I used the Dremel tool to clear it all out. I got my PEX adapter on, some Teflon in. I'm gonna put it right in here. I don't want it on the outside because we drive the tractor through there and it's just one thing to possibly get hit. I don't need it too close to all the power. Got plenty of PEX hose here. So drill a hole here, put it in place, and see if that glue is dry yet. Hole is just a little bit bigger than what I wanted. I had an 1¼ inch saw. I didn't have the 1 1/8", which really would have been better. Oh, and that's not straight. There we go. PEX. Hose bib, hose nozzle, hose nozzle, not a bib. Hose nozzle's on. You can turn it on, turn it off. Could have put it a little bit lower. Could have used a little bit smaller drill bit, but we got it working. The purpose of this outlet is very, very simple. It's to allow us to do a weight test for the belly bay. The planned weight test is that we will get our digester and digestate tanks here, which there's some delays in getting those here, so we might have to improvise, but we're gonna go with the plan. The plan is that those tanks get here, and then we're gonna put them in the belly bay before we actually seal the belly bay all up and get all of its skin on. And we're gonna do a full load test. We're actually gonna fill it full of water, fill both tanks full of water. That's the maximum weight it's gonna experience. And then make sure everything holds, you know, because if something's gonna break, it's gonna break then. So that's what this is out here for. And it's also nice just to have it out here for water. In the winter, you know, I carry my jug of water with me. It's cold. You don't need a whole lot of water out here. But in the summertime, it'll be nice having a faucet out here. And we'll also be able to reload the digester with water through this faucet, just a hose, put it in there and start filling it again. So it's going to be nice having out here. We have a trade, of course. If you put water out here, you know, it's cold, it's exposed. cold wind blows through here, you really got to worry about freezing. PEX pipe will be nice because it does expand a little bit, but let's not count on that. That's why that drain is in there. What that also means is that in the winter time when you want to use the water, you're not going to have it loaded here. It's not going to be charged. The line won't be charged to here. It's charged there in the ground, and it's not frozen because I checked it today and everything's good. It's down deep down in the ground. But if we want water out here in the winter, we're going to have to open up the floor panel and turn that valve on, which is a pain. But again, the only time we're really going to need water out here in the winter is to do something like a load test. In the summertime, you open it up, you know, when it stops freezing, and you'll crank the valve on, and then you'll be charged all the time until your freeze comes back. But for winter, we're not going to have it charged. We've got the drain in there so that when we do charge it for wintertime operations, we can drain this line all the way back there and leave that open after the valve, the primary valve. So we got the electrical done. We got the water in. I'm not going to turn this on right now because I did a touch test on the glue in there, and because it's so cold, it hasn't hardened yet, and we want it to fully harden before I fully charge it and make sure everything's okay. So we'll probably give that a few days given that it's really cold. Anyway, if you like this video, be sure to give it a thumbs up and hit subscribe. Ring that little bell so you get notified when I put out new videos. Don't forget you can follow us on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and if you'd like to support what we're doing, you can check us out on Patreon. In the meantime, everybody, this is The Real Martian. Out.